3.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. The weekly call with Aladdin Dow. So today's the longest day of the year, and hopefully not the longest call we ever do.
No, we're not. No, we're not. It's not gonna be that. We're gonna keep it concise. You know, there's one thing I'm good at. It's being concise. I'm told that by everyone.
Yeah. All right. And so, let's jump into it then. And I think the first act of business is we're going to switch everything around today, and we are going to have Charlene come up.
That's right. Yeah, this is very unusual. Charlene's got an unusual schedule today, and so she needs to get her macro update shared first.
Yeah, it feels so good to do community call in the morning rather than.
Isn't it nice?
We're gonna have like a much higher energy Charlene macro update than usual.
Well, I wonder if it's very early in the morning.
Oh, okay. So it's the same problem. Hey, whoa, hang on. Now, listen, is this going to be the first ever bullish macro update? Because maybe we should leave you in the time zone you're in if that's the case.
Boy, no kidding,
Probably
right?
not.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. So by the way, for your information, it's very nice weather in California. Nice and cool.
All right, I appreciate.
It's always nice weather in California.
That's a good solid scoreboard. All right, I appreciate that.
All right, let's get into the market. There's some very interesting development on geopolitical situation this week. Very strong signal, right? Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has confirmed that America supports One China policy during his visit in Beijing this week. This is a big pivot from what the US has been saying in the past 40 years, right? So the party line was always American people will do anything to protect people in Taiwan. So what does this change all of a sudden tell us? Probably the war is on the brink in the region. And the system cannot handle war situation on both Atlantic Ocean side and Pacific Ocean side at the same time. So the compromise for now is to make sure that the war doesn't get started until the system is fully prepared. So no front running, please. So if the alarm for another war beyond what the system can handle is removed for now, there is nothing really important immediately on the system's agenda. So this is a perfect market window to trigger the cascade. All conditions are in place, right? There's no election campaign. There's like the debt ceiling is done. There's no important political agenda out there. So we don't know when exactly this will happen, but it can happen anytime from now. So be careful. And on crypto side, the market has been really pumping, right, on the expectation that institutional money is coming. The news flow from the regulators lately, from beating down Binance, Coinbase to supporting the incumbents, has been so well orchestrated. So whoever directing all this behind the scene, right, have built their positions already. So are these people here just to play the market for short term, or they have real conviction to hold and build? Will this institutional money defend their conviction in crypto when the big retreat in TradFi market is coming? We don't know, right? Deceptions are everywhere in financial markets. So someone wants us, right, to respond to this news flow by moving capital in and out of our pockets. I'll be very careful to play this game and be the trading counterparty to people who have better information and insight on what's going on than us. And that's it for this week. Hope this helps.
Wow.
All right. Short and I wouldn't say sweet, but short. Well, that's thanks for the macro update, Charlene. That is, it's always an interesting time of the community call, and it's kind of weird to be turning around and like shifting gears into Aladdin stuff now, but that is what we're gonna do. AK Mets?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, Charlene, when you say like China's going to war, who are they? What is that? I haven't been following.
I wouldn't plumb those depths too deeply.
Okay, okay, never mind.
Long story, right? Yes. And so definitely things has getting really tense there, right? So it's important time to put a stop there, right, before the system can really handle, two wars at the same time.
Okay.
I guess that's what's happening, right? And that's why there's, such a big change on the tone, right? Secretary of State went there and, just gave commitment on this, one China. There's no support, for Taiwan independence, right? I think that's just such a sudden change, right? Considering what has been happening in the past 40 years, right? So that's a strong signal, right? There must be something cooking behind that, right? There's a strong reason, right?
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Well, may you live in interesting times, right? Jeez
yes.
Louise. All right. Well, thanks, Charlene. We appreciate it.
Yeah, where are we heading first here, K-Mets?
Well, I guess, we can just kind of knock out the Aladdin stuff, and then, because that's pretty quick and easy, because basically there's right up on Curve right now, the governance proposal for ALD ETH, and I guess it's been up there for a few days now.
Yeah, can you grab that link for us, Paul?
And
yeah, sure.
And we can, if folks haven't had a chance to read it or comment or check it out or like it or whatever, please do, because we're probably due to actually put it to a Curve vote here in the near future, like next day or two. So that's kind of it. It's moving along, and I've gotten on there a couple of times, but I haven't seen any negative feedback or anything. So I think at this point it's all just kind of the Curve community knows who we are and has seen proposals from us before. So it's
I mean, a lot of the times when we're launching proposals on Curve, they're tied to like new products or new they're the previous gauges were for Concentrator when we were describing like, well, this is what Concentrator is and what it does, and same thing with Clever. And so this is, I think, going to be a pretty like low controversy kind of proposal, since Aladdin underlies all of these things. And so we're, as you say, we're a known quantity, and but we also don't want to be too complacent here, right? Because every Curve governance vote that we're involved in is an important Curve governance vote for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always the case. So we really need to rely on our boosters to get out there and help make sure that the Curve voters are aware of us, and hopefully we can get that. Hopefully we can push this guy over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So be on the lookout for that. Paul posted the link here in the chat, so go check that out, and we'll be following up on that probably in the next couple of days or so when we post the governance vote, and we'll send out tweets on the Discord and whatnot, and
exactly,
everybody can help share that.
Yeah, I'm not expecting too much action on the forum level, because there's not many questions to ask, right? But once we get to the actual vote, we'll try to amplify and make sure that we remind everybody, jog everybody's memory to get out there and rock the vote, right? Isn't that what we do? Do we rock it?
That's what we do in the States. Well, some of us do. There's some rocking.
I love that the voting needed to be rebranded to be cooler.
Well, at one point it was like vote or die. I remember that, and I was like, well, now that's a bit dramatic.
It seems like you probably could. Exactly. That seems.
I think we'll survive not voting for the railroad commissioner or whatever.
The fifth assistant to the school board chair.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right.
Well, and then I guess we'll just move on to FX and just what we got going on over there. We got a lot going on.
Okay. We got a lot going on with FFX. Actually, do you want to? So I'm going to do the same thing I suggested last week. Do you want to punt that to after Concentrator and Clever, since we've got like a bit of a meandering walk through that? So
yeah,
we've
let's
just got
do
a couple
that.
of Why don't you kick off Concentrator? Yeah.
Yeah, so concentrator. So real quick, so we made an announcement on Discord. Kruger put out an announcement about we've got like some funds that we've got that we've been saving up,
Cushion
and
money.
that's right. And so we're gonna distribute it out to all the VECTR holders. It's from I believe it's from all the compounders that have been collecting revenue so far.
Yeah, so basically the A curve compounder has been, generating yields that have been distributed regularly, right? We turned on the fee switch for A curve, but all the other compounders have just been accumulating those revenues. They haven't actually been distributing them. So we've been, some more than others, right? Like obviously it's, each one has collected some amount of fees, and so we basically lumped all of those together into A curve. So that's one of the things that's a little different from what we have talked about in the past. That probably worth calling out is that we're going to distribute all of the revenues. Just in the beginning, at least, we're going to be distributing everything in A curve, just to simplify claiming. Because we've at this point in time, Concentrator is harvesting like quite a number of different yield bearing tokens, right? Remember, Concentrator harvests revenue denominated in the token that you're concentrating into. And so there's ASD curve, and there's AFRAX ETH, and there's AFXS, and there's all these different tokens, and most of them are going to be dust, right? For a lot of people, they're just not big enough. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to just distribute everything in A curve. And that gives also the benefit of it's one of the high, it's not always the highest. I don't think it's the highest right now, but it's always one of the high APY compounding tokens. And it means that whether you claim them or not, if I'm speaking for like VE people, revenue sharing people, whether you claim them or not, they're still going to be compounding, right? That's kind of the magic.
Yeah.
So basically, as you said, we had all of these compounders that were building up revenues that were just sitting in the treasury, and so there's going to be a one-time distribution of all of that stuff, which is about, I don't know, it's like $60,000 worth of revenue going out. So it's not big, but it's not nothing, and that's going to
yeah,
that's going to go in one chunk next week, and then thereafter we're going to continue distributing those revenues from those vaults again in A curve terms, sort of like I think weekly or so is when the actual distributions happen. So that's coming up, and if you want to get a chunk of that first distribution, you need to make sure that you have your CTR locked. And if you are already a locker, you might want to take a look at extending. The gas prices have been pretty good, although has that changed recently? I didn't check it in the last couple of days when people suddenly became bullish again.
There's been moments where it's been pretty cheap.
It's 25 right now. So anyhow, I would suggest to anybody who is a CTR locker, if you want to maximize what's coming in, you could use this opportunity to extend your lock. And anybody who wants to, or you're going to lock more, and then anybody who wants to try to get in on it, you got to lock before. I think we said next Thursday, I think, is when that is actually coming out.
All right, so you got a little bit of time.
Yeah, plus or minus, right? Like you've got about a week, right? And that's nice. It's always nice for that kind of stuff because you want to find a low gas period, right? Since extending a lock, transaction for extending a lock, it's not something you ideally want to spend any more gas than you have to on.
Yeah, it is what it is, but yeah,
it's like fixing your roof, right? You got to spend the money, but it's like you don't get anything for it. You just continue to not get wet when it rains.
Yeah. Oh, I had an experience where I replaced a water heater, which it was like that, and I was really impressed.
Yeah, same idea.
I did it myself, and I was so proud of it, and I was like, "Man, that looks great. That's awesome." And then I just like closed the closet door, and I was like, "Well, no one's ever going to see that." Yep.
Yeah, no, let us never speak of it again. Yeah. Yeah. The main difference is that your bank account's a little lighter.
Yeah, exactly. So that's coming up. So everybody prepare for that, and we'll give you a little bit more notices when that's about to kick
next
off
community call. We'll probably tweet another reminder, and next community call. Actually, we'll definitely drop another reminder in Discord.
For sure.
I don't want to overdo it because it's like I say, it's not a massive payday, but
No,
Yeah.
but it's cool. It's like, distribution of revenue, always a good thing.
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
likes that.
Well, and it's always nice to have those like steps towards what we've kind of been building, right? And
Right.
getting that revenue flowing from all those vaults. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, and then moving on, we've got a couple new harvesters. We've got the new TriCrypto NG pools. There's a USDC one and a USDT one, and I guess my understanding with the TriCrypto NG is it's like a lower gas version of TriCrypto, and it's like composable. So,
and it produces a Oracle output, I believe. But Charlene, are you still online? Do you want to comment on the NG pools? Those actually optimize gas for depositing in the pool too, right? Not just swapping.
Mostly for swapping. And NG pools have been designed for CRV-USD, right? So it lower the transaction cost to, I think, 1/3 of the gas cost of the old pools.
For swapping.
Plus, yeah, correct. Plus, it offers Oracle services, right? That's
right.
A higher rate. The prices for all the collaterals and also CRV-USD itself.
All right, so we're gonna for people who are in, actually TriCrypto is our biggest pool by a mile.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that over time all of the liquidity is going to migrate on curve. I'm talking about not so much driven by concentrator, but actually on curve. We're probably going to see a migration to those lower gas pools, and so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And at some point in time, they will change the incentive structure as well, and the lower gas pools will start earning more yield.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
as they migrate.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on that one. About both of those new harvesters, and then also we've got Steth ETH NG pool as well. So
that's right.
That's right. Sort of in the same design.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those things where like I say, I think liquidity is going to slowly kind of slide from one into the other.
Yeah,
over time.
Yeah. So you got those to look forward to in Concentrator, and that's pretty much it for Concentrator for this week. And then moving on to Clever, great news! The new booster round is active, so it's up on Snapshot. Right. We'll post some links here to the votes, but feel free to get out and
rock
vote
a vote
whenever. Rock it, vote or die, or
vote or die. I think that's reasonable to say in this case. Yeah, vote or die.
Of course, yeah, or at least vote or lose tokens. There you go. So.
And especially as always, we're looking for people just as a gentle reminder from us. We are looking for people to kind of take a look down the list, take a look across what the people in the community have been tweeting about. If you see, if you've noticed content from a particular booster, reward them for it, right? Definitely call out the stuff that you see that you like, that's good. And that's kind of the power, the supposed theoretical power of doing it this way, where you have voters actually, if we can sort of ask everyone to come in and vote in an honest way, right? For the content that you think helped propel the protocol and the community forward the most during this 2-week tranche or 2-week period. 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. We it's important to just remind folks that this is like a big marketing opportunity for us, and so if it becomes like PvP, it kind of defeats the purpose, and so it's important to make sure that we're all supporting the signal from the noise. And
and I think for me, I don't think that we've seen any evidence that it's getting to PvP yet. But I think the point that I'm trying to make is like I'm trying to nudge everybody to put a little bit of effort into just kind of like really do call out the people that you've noticed, right? Because chances are if you've noticed them, then somebody else has too. And if you've seen great content, like this is your lever for really like rewarding and amplifying that. And because I can tell you, and I'm sure you can too, K-Mets, like getting rewarded under this program is very motivating, right?
Oh, yeah.
It makes you want to do more stuff, right? And that's kind of the whole idea here is we want to really, we want to really call out those people who are making the best content, thank them for that, and also, more to the point, encourage them to do more and build more and make more.
Yeah, and it's it's a big reason why I've been involved with the community and gotten involved and found myself here. So it's a really fantastic way to get people involved, keep them involved, and like you said, like keep great content about all the protocols continuing forward. So
absolutely love it.
Get out there and support your fellow clever content creators.
Yeah, rock right. the booster vote.
That's right, exactly. Okay.
Okay. Are we ready?
Let's get into the beef of this here.
Buckle up.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so let's talk F of X. So obviously that's kind of like as KMS has called out and I've called out, like that's kind of like the majority of the Aladdin, Eye of Sauron is focused right in on the F of X protocol launch. And the beta has been running on Sepolia for I think a couple of weeks now, and we've been getting feedback. We've had a ton of people interacting with the contracts on testnet, checking out the UI. Really appreciate all that, and really like hoping that everybody had their fake XETH bags loaded up before this last pump, so that they can be fake rich on Sepolia. The feedback form is still live. We are still accepting comments and feedback on what you see there, and we are going to continue the testnet operations for a little while, because we are going to be rolling out. This is kind of like the official to the community. We are going to be restructuring the protocol pre-launch to use LSDs in the reserve and to restructure the risk module. So this is a pretty big change from the initial sort of like white paper and the currently running version on testnet. So we talked about it last week. And basically the genesis of this was that a lot of feedback we got from the community kind of said, like, why are you only running with ETH? LSDs are basically, although they do add a non-zero additional layer of risk, they are basically the risk-free rate of Ethereum right now. And the liquid version of that is, kind of why would you not? And so as I kind of said last week, the team has been working behind the scenes to sort of figure out, okay, if we were going to use staked ETH, like liquid staked ETH on the back end, how would we make that maximally, like, how can that make the protocol better? That was really the question. Like, how can that make the protocol better? Because it's not straightforward with the way that FFX works. FFX is like one single CDP that everybody shares together, right? And the people who have the stable part, which is the FETH, have a stake in it, as well as the people who hold all the XETH have sort of a stake in this single CDP. And so it's quite a bit different than the typical CDP type protocol where you own your own collateral still, right? In the case of FFX, the protocol owns the collateral and you own the derivative token. So we kind of were faced with this question: how can we make the overall protocol better by having LSDs in scratcher heads? And we came up with something that is really spectacular, I think, really powerful. And so by using LSDs in the reserve instead of just pure ETH, then we're able to make the whole protocol quite a bit stronger. And let's go into some detail about what that looks like.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No. I'm just kind of like agreeing with you that, this is something that we've been thinking about really for a couple of weeks now. And it's, it didn't pop up just last week. So it's sort of the evolution of just thinking about it. And then once you present it to the community to get feedback on it, there's some good points raised on why you wouldn't integrate LSDs as well. So
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Like as I say, it's a non-zero additional amount of risk, but you know, depending on how, and I mean, it's not going to be open season in terms of what the reserve accepts, right? Like right now, when we say LSD in our minds, I think we're really kind of thinking something like Lido staked ETH that is like extremely liquid and has obviously there are like crypto related centralization concerns about Lido, but they're also so deep, and there's so much of it that a problem that affects staked ETH is going to affect pure ETH as well, right? So in a way, we kind of the whole Ethereum system kind of already has this risk built in, and by not using the liquid staking derivative, we're kind of taking that risk without getting the reward.
Absolutely, that's exactly kind of the takeaway that people need to understand. Is it's a very sort of calculated decision. It's not a throwaway or something that we're taking lightly either. So
yeah, and so we went through this thought experiment. Like I said, is that okay if we're going to accept liquid state derivatives in the reserve, and that adds some bit of risk, right? What does the protocol get for that? Like how can we be better because of those because the reserve now has those LSDs? And here's what we've come up with. We're going to roll out a system that includes LSD allocation, potentially 100% LSD allocation in the reserve. And we're going to use that to overhaul the platform revenue as well as the risk management system. So this is why I say it's quite a big change to the protocol, because you'll remember from the original white paper, we spent a lot of time talking about this 4-stage risk management system that uses progressively this progressive set of fees in order to incentivize behavior that would push the protocol towards more stability, right? And that system had a couple of weaknesses built into it, one of which was that a lot of times if the collateralization ratio fell too low and we got into what we were calling rebalancing mode, either user rebalancing mode or protocol rebalancing mode, the arbitrage in order to rebalance the protocol required going to AMM liquidity, right? The arbitrage to rebalance would be go and buy FETH from the AMM and come back and redeem it for a bonus. The trouble is when you're relying on an external AMM for liquidity in those kind of extreme cases, right? In the cases where the protocol needs that support, you're kind of at the whim of what liquidity is available in the AMM. And so if slippage is bad at that time, or if you have a sort of if the protocol becomes imbalanced at a time when the market overall is imbalanced for some reason, you can run into the situation where the rebalancing is just very expensive, right? Depending on what's going on with that AMM. So what we're going to do is we are going to instead create what we're calling a rebalancing pool. So we're creating a pool of fractional ETH that is going to be incentivized by a share of the liquid stake derivative. So remember, the entire reserve is in LSDs, or at least some large fraction of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus some part of those onto people who deposit FETH in this rebalancing pool. And the point of the rebalancing pool is to provide a vault full of ready FETH that can be redeemed anytime automatically by the protocol in order to rebalance, in order to push the FETH to XETH balance back up over that 130% collateralization ratio. And similar to the way stability works in Liquidity, though the FETH deposits in that rebalancing pool will get swapped over time. If the protocol enters stability mode, the FETH in that pool will get swapped into the reserve ETH tokens, right? And so it's, as a user depositing in that pool, you are going to both earn great yields on your stable FETH, your stable, quote unquote stable FETH tokens, as well as be able to dollar cost average, like slowly average into these reserve ETH tokens, right? The tokens that the protocol is using in reserve. And so it ends up being a pretty great way to farm, and a pretty great way to for the protocol to pay out yield on FETH and incentivize people to mint it and farm with it, in a way that's not like native protocol incentive, right?
Yeah, it's like I guess you could call it. I guess it's technically like the real yield, sort of, the risk-free yield on Ethereum that you can earn with, basically a stable coin like product. And so it's
exactly, and it's what's really cool about it is, we're going to focus. I don't think that we've got any final numbers yet on exactly how we're going to break down. But basically, the idea is the yield from the liquid state derivatives, right, is going to be divided between protocol revenue and this rebalancing pool. And so, just for the sake of the discussion today, let's say it's like 50-50. Well, what fraction of people are actually depositing in that rebalancing pool? It's quite small compared to the overall users of the whole protocol. So you're able to amplify the liquid stake derivatives, like the staking yields, quite a lot, and then earn them with a stable token, right? And as you say, that's it's the hashtag real yield. I think that meme is dead now, but it's still like it's as valid as it ever was to say that this is not native token inflation. This is real. This is like real Ethereum yield that you are being paid in order to provide this service of having FETH, liquid and ready to deploy if the pool needs to rebalance, or if the protocol needs to rebalance. And so it hugely simplifies the risk management. You guys remember from the initial white paper that in the first in the initial risk management, this is like 4 stages of responses to different collateralization ratios. Well, now it's much, much simpler. We basically have normal mode and stability mode. And if the collateralization ratio ever falls below 130, we are in stability mode. There's a minor change to the minting and redeeming fees, but generally speaking, it means now the permissionlessly somebody can, and a keeper or the team or whoever can run this rebalancing that redeems FETH from the rebalancing pool automatically for those rebalancing pool depositors, and then pushes the collateralization ratio back up over 130. It means that the protocol doesn't have to worry about what the like price of FETH is on the secondary market, right? The price of FETH on the AMM is irrelevant. And because we have the FETH already stacked up, ready to deploy if we ever need to. It also should mean that the response to any falling below 130 of the collateralization ratio should be much quicker too, right? We would expect, without any concerns about AMM liquidity and multiple step transactions, it's a real easy job to just, it's like a one-click job to restabilize the protocol right out of that rebalancing pool.
Yeah, I think ultimately it simplifies the protocol. It makes it more responsive, and and it's just that like you said, it's sort of like this trade-off in risk for the ability to sort of recover from sort of those rapid price changes should they happen or whatever. And so
I mean, the long story short is that the risk, in my view, and again, this is something kind of subjective, but in my view, the overall riskiness of the protocol is much lower with this. Like even given the LSDs on the back end, the fact that the protocol can respond faster and more reliably with no uncertainty of cost to a collateralization ratio issue, where the collateralization ratio falls below 130, I think that just makes the whole protocol that much safer.
Yeah.
And I'll show you just for fun. I just dropped this into chat. This is what the new you'll remember that in the previous white paper there was a plot that showed this 3-step process of like first we're in stability mode, then user rebalance mode, then protocol rebalance mode, then like all that stuff. And that's been replaced by this much simpler story of, if we're below 0.76, this is the collateralization ratio 130 is where that vertical, sort of a boundary between the red and the white is. If we're below that collateralization ratio, we're in stability mode. If we're above it, we're in normal mode. That's it. And it just, to me, simpler means more robust.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a good graph.
I think the other thing to call out here, the other benefit is that because the protocol will be then switching to basically a management fee structure, it simplifies the minting and redeeming fees, and it also lowers the minting and redeeming fees, right? So if the protocol doesn't need to make money on mints and redeems, like that's not the way that the protocol generates revenue, right? The protocol is now generating revenue by a share of LSD yields from the reserve, and so it really it's going to reduce a lot of friction on the minting and redeeming of FETH and XETH, right? We're going to be able to keep the mint and redeem fees will not be zero, but they will be quite low and certainly much more straightforward, right? Like again, from the old white paper, you'll remember there was a table that needed to be this whole table indicating which fees were on and raised and lowered in which risk in which risk modes. But then the new table is, I'll just drop it in here so everybody can see. The new table, again, much simpler, much more straightforward. These are just notional numbers. We're not committing to these numbers, but essentially, a 0.25% mint and redeem fee on fractional, a 1% mint and redeem on XETH. It just simplifies everything, right? And there's never a concern in the future so much about the protocol needing to monkey with those fees in order to be sustainable when we've got the sustainable revenue coming from the reserve.
Yeah, I think it definitely simplifies things also from like a user's perspective of the protocol. So it makes you don't have to juggle all these numbers and whatnot. So and I think with the mint fees being able to, as it's not dependent on those mint fees, basically you can make it as inexpensive as it can be, as practically speaking, so that it's always competitive with whatever other protocols are doing that for whatever sort of.
Yeah, you're right. It gives the protocol more flexibility to respond to that kind of a situation. Do you want to know what else it does? We're just going to rattle off benefits here because I'm really excited about all the ways that the protocol gets better here. By having those lower mint and redeem, it means that the secondary market price is going to track more closely, right? Remember, whenever there's a mint and redeem fee on a token on the primary market, the secondary market has to be at least the fee plus some delta different before it can be arbitraged, right?
Yep.
Like you can't profit if you have to pay all of your profit to the fee. So basically, the smaller that primary market fee is, the closer the secondary market will track the primary price. And that's another good thing from the overall performance of the protocol, because ideally, most people will not be interacting with the primary market. I think that most users are going to want to swap in and out on an AMM, on secondary liquidity.
Yeah.
Actually minting and redeeming from the primary market is going to be it's going to be more friction, and it's going to be just not the best way in my view, or not the way that most people are going to want to interact with the protocol. So better tracking of secondary price. And then the last thing, and this is a big one, I don't know why I left it to last, because this is arguably what I am most excited about. No more stability fees charged to fractional ETH. So with the new system, because the risk management mode is being subsidized by the LSD reserve, it means that fractional ETH is no longer fractional ETH no longer has to pay any stability fee in any situation, right? In the initial version of the protocol, if there was, if we went into stability mode, there were these incentives paid to minters of XETH and redeemers of FETH, and those came from the FETH NAV. Now they would be small, right? Like the situation in which those fees would be charging would be when there was a ton of FETH, so it would be amortized over every single holder. But just the principle of the thing, right? That the holder of fractional ETH is now no longer on the hook for paying any costs related to protocol stability. Those are all being funded by the LSD yield that in the reserve, the staking yield in the reserve. So it's just better.
Yeah, it's great for FETH holders, because now if the price is going down, you just have to worry about the prices going down. You don't have to worry about, okay, well my tokens are also decreasing in value due to this fee that I'm having to pay to XETH holders. And so
yeah, exactly. And it just again, it's more certainty. It makes FETH a better token. and it makes the protocol stronger. So this is a pretty like, I think this is a very, very good trade-off for whatever, incremental risk we add by holding LSDs in the reserve. I think that what we get is a much overall less risky protocol, but also just a much more powerful and more easy to use one, and just that much more likely to be able to, to catch fire and do what we hope that it can do, which is help to bring a real scalable, decentralized kind of stable-ish coin into DeFi.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess now that we've gone over, should we kind of get into sort of like the practical implications of putting this together and rolling it out? Or
sure. Well, actually, let's talk about that. I think that there's one implication here that I'm going to mention that I think, just for the purpose of the community call, we'll talk about it for a sec. Depending on what we're looking at, being able to hold multiple different LSDs in the reserve, although we will not necessarily start with multiple, right? We may start just focused on staked ETH, or maybe like no final decisions have been made there. We're open to community input, but obviously we need to make sure that they're very, very deeply liquid, and that we're not introducing unnecessary risks at the back end. But because we want to have the capability to hold multiple different LSDs in the reserve, we're looking at needing to introduce a wrapper token. And so if the reserve is going to be, let's imagine a world where the reserve is divided between two different LSDs. When people are minting or redeeming fETH and xETH, they technically need to do it with what's in the reserve, right? Which would mean with a mixture of those LSDs. Now, obviously, we would provide zapping functions on the front end, so it would be transparent to users who are minting and redeeming. But when the reserve is in multiple tokens, that's the same. We have the same kind of issue with revenue distribution. It's going to need to be in multiple tokens, as well as the rebalancing pool is going to need to redeem for those multiple tokens. And so what we're looking at doing is we will introduce a reserve wrapper, which is going to be basically like a simple wrapper over whatever LSDs are used in the reserve in whatever specific fraction they're involved, right? So if we're 50-50, then you would have to mint that reserve wrapper with 50% of one and 50% of the other. Or again, we would provide zapping functions all the way along, so that practically it's not difficult. But like with any zap, you're exposed to the AMM price that you're zapping through. So that makes a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? That makes a little bit of extra friction on the way in and out, in that you probably will need to have a swap as you are minting and redeeming. But it also provides a really great side effect, which is that this wrapper, the way we'll design it is it'll be auto compounding. So it'll be just like A curve or ASD curve or whatever, in that the staking yields from the reserve are going to be auto compounded into an increasing index. And so what that will mean is that when, for example, if you are in the rebalancing pool, you have fETH in the rebalancing pool, and your fETH is redeemed for reserve tokens, the reserve that you hold is going to still be denominated in that wrapper token, which is increasing, right? It's auto compounding. So same thing with the revenue sharing. If you are paid in this reserve wrapper token, you get this nice auto compounding liquid stake ETH. And so again, just like we were talking about earlier with Concentrator, when you distribute revenues or yields, in this case in the rebalancing pool, you get this. You don't have to rush to claim it when they're already productively deployed and rebalancing, right? And auto compounding.
Yeah. So I think we've gone over a lot here, and I think essentially the goal is to sort of make things easier on the users, make it a simpler protocol overall. So it's a lot to digest, but
and I mean, the business of this reserve wrapper token, I do want to stress, like we talked about this a lot internally. It can be implemented in a way that is totally transparent for minting and redeeming fETH and xETH. And I think that's the most important part, right? I think that we want to make sure that having the LSDs or maybe a mixture of LSDs in the reserve doesn't make using the primary function of the protocol any more difficult, right? You want to be able to mint and redeem fETH and xETH. That's what the protocol is all about, right? On the back end, where you're talking about protocol revenues, where you're talking about this stability pool, that's the place. The rebalancing pool when we get in stability mode. That's the place where we can kind of expect people to have a little bit deeper knowledge of the protocol and like require them to have a little better understanding, right? When you're getting revenues, when you're participating in this rebalancing pool to support the stability of the protocol, we do kind of expect that you that you have like a better it's reasonable to say you need a better understanding to participate in that side.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we got a question here from Mr. Massa. What's my benefits to mint and hold xETH when ETH in bear cycle base on the above operation mode when CR is less than 130?
So you would never have earned stability fees for holding xETH. You would have only earned stability fees for minting xETH. And so holding xETH, as in any case, holding xETH is a trade, right? If you know the future and you know that ETH is going down between today and tomorrow, I would recommend to sell your xETH.
Right.
xETH is always a long, and so. But like I say, it is important to note that even in the initial version of the protocol, holders of xETH were never compensated, but minters were, right? So there was a minting of xETH. Now, xETH minting is not incentivized, but it is at least free in stability mode. So if the stability mode falls down, however, the important thing to remember here is that because the fETH because the yields in the fETH rebalancing pool are so good, we don't really need those xETH like incentives anymore, because having our own stash of fETH that we can use to redeem means that the protocol won't be in stability mode for very long. Like as soon as the protocol is in stability mode, there's an immediate sort of trade that can be done to put it out of stability mode. So there shouldn't ever be a situation where the protocol is in stability mode for any more than like a very, very brief period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think, you know, especially, you know, it's so hard to, like you're saying, it's so hard to know what the price of ETH is going to do. And so the whole point in having like a zero cost you know, perpetual contract is so that you just basically buy it and just hang on to it. And so you know, just
the other thing to consider, and you can see it just by looking at the plot, is that the closer we are to stability mode, the higher the leverage is of the xETH, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, if you're if you're a degen, then the more imbalanced that f of x becomes, the juicier that that trade is for picking up xETH in order to arbitrage, in order to take that long, right? So the leverage on the long gets higher and higher as the fraction of fETH gets higher compared to xETH.
Yeah. So
yeah, between the two of those things, first of all, we don't expect to be in stability mode for any period of time, because the yields in the rebalancing pool are going to be, you know, worthwhile, right? Remember, we've got all of the staking yields across the whole reserve, and you know, we're splitting them between protocol income and the rebalancing pool. And so you can see that we're focusing quite a lot of staking yields onto what is a stable coin pool, right? Like farming fETH with the rebalancing pool it's basically stable coin yields, and it's pretty juicy. It's you're earning LSD yields without holding ETH, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And even more like amplified yields of LSD, and you're earning them denominated in ETH and like an auto compounding staked ETH. So we're pretty confident that the the rebalancing pool is going to have a pretty great ready supply of fractional ETH. First of all, the fact that you can farm your FETH in there will help to incentivize that FETH to be minted, right?
Yeah.
Like a great farming opportunity for FETH. That, by the way, the protocol is not paying native tokens to incentivize, right? It's entirely driven by the revenue from those staking derivatives. So there, with a good yield on FETH, there's going to be farming opportunities there, and so that's going to help to incentivize the minting of FETH as well as staking it in this pool to be ready to respond if the collateralization ratio ever falls.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I was going to say, not to mention the fact that we'll also be incentivizing secondary market liquidity, right? So there's going to be lots of ways to earn with FETH, and so that'll help ensure that there's always a good supply of a good amount of FETH.
Yeah, lots of incentives for FETH token holders. So should we kind of jump into sort of the practical rollout here of what the timelines look like, maybe?
Sure. So we've got the plan overall is that we're going to need 2 weeks to get the updated code complete, and then internal testing is going to take an additional week, and of course we're going to be doing audits in parallel with that. Since this is not like a total rewrite, we're not looking at a complete overhaul of the audit, but audits will be done in parallel. And then we're going to deploy the updated FFX to testnet. And so the testnet is going to the testnet is going to be it's going to continue while we're building the new version of FFX with the new stability or the new risk management module, and then we're going to update testnet. We're going to run 1 or 2 weeks of testnet with the updated stability module, the updated risk management, and the new LSD backend, and after that we're going to deploy to mainnet. So the mainnet deployment phase, that's going to be the same as we had talked about before, where there will be 2 weeks of no liquidity, right? Where by which we mean 2 weeks where we run on mainnet, but we are not incentivizing any kind of secondary market liquidity yet. And then after that 2 weeks will be the generation event for FX tokens. So the first sale of FX tokens happened already, and the token generation event where people will actually receive those tokens are going to happen at the end of that mainnet beta operation, that no liquidity mainnet beta operation period. And sometime within that 2 weeks will be the second round of the token sale. So second round token sale happening, and then that puts the token generation event and the seeding of the liquidity pools, what we're going to call like full mainnet launch, something on the order of 6 weeks from now.
That sounds about right, yeah. Yeah, so everybody, and that's all kind of subject to, everything going good with the audits and testing going correctly,
of course,
and everything, So just keep your expectations realistic. That's just kind of the general framework that we're going by.
Yeah, so. And it's as always, these community calls are a lot more transparent, I think, than they would be if we were some kind of private company. So we're always trying to give you guys the inside scoop of what the plan is internally, and these things can change. But right now, I would say 6 weeks to TGE, and then a few milestones in between, which is the code completeness of the new model, the testnet execution, the testnet running of the new model, and then the mainnet beta period. Something on the order of 2 weeks for each of those.
Yeah, so pretty exciting. Lots going on there with FFX. So
yeah, it's a big one. And so we've gone through and revised the white paper to include the new approach to stability. And so that's going to be released. I think we're going to aim to get that onto the website later today. So we'll tweet that out and say, we've got a change to share, and you guys can check out the details in the revised white paper later today.
Yep. And so Subli and I are also going to be having another
kind of rattled around a lot. There's just, you know, when you look at everything on the pro side, it's a pretty obvious improvement, and it makes what was already a very strong protocol that much stronger. So
yeah,
looking forward to getting that done and working.
Yeah, hopefully just in time for this new bull market we have going on that Charlene's been harping on about. So
yeah, well, it's here. I don't know if you noticed. We're in it. It's almost over.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
You blink and you miss it. We'll see. No, we got to be more positive than that, don't we?
I guess so. Yeah, it's it's the most daylight of the year, so you got to be sunshiny all day.
That's true. Well, we should do
all
that.
Right.
And I think we'll thank everybody for coming on that note, and I guess talk to you all again next week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One real quick plug. A-Team is having a Twitter space tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. UTC. So, we'll send out a reminder on Twitter, but check it out if you get a chance. But other than that,
you're not going to be on that one, are you, K-Mets?
Yes, I am, sir.
It's the middle of the night. Isn't it the middle of the night for you?
No, it's like 5:30 a.m. But it's I'm gonna.
Oh, you're a morning person though. You're one of those.
I will say it is kind of early though, but I'm willing to. I'm willing to do it.
5:30 a.m. is the middle of the night. I will die on this hill.
Well, I'll be there. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, we appreciate it.
You're a trooper. All right, thanks everybody.
Okay,
Let's
bye.
talk again soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Ciao.